When we think about success, productivity, and balance, most of us look at tools, apps, or strategies that promise efficiency. But the truth is, the simplest and most powerful change we can make doesn't require technology, money, or talent. It only requires discipline, the discipline of waking up early. Waking up early is not about following a trend. It's about creating space in your life before the world demands it from you. The morning hours are quiet, undisturbed, and free from the constant noise of messages, calls, and responsibilities. In those early moments, you own your time. You are not reacting, you are creating. Think about it. When you start your day late, you begin in a rush. You're already behind responding to everyone else's priorities. But when you rise early, you set the tone. You design your day instead of letting your day design you. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Early mornings are also where clarity is found. Our minds are sharpest after rest. That first hour can be used to read, reflect, journal, or plan. These practices compound. Over weeks and months, they don't just make you more productive, they transform who you are. Because habits are not about what we do, they are about who we become. And here's the real power. Waking up early isn't only about productivity, it's about identity. It tells you that you have control, that you can choose discipline over comfort, and that your future is worth sacrificing a little sleep for. Every time you wake early, you're telling yourself, I'm serious about my goals. And over time, that belief shapes your reality. The world will always reward those who prepare while others sleep, not because they're smarter, but because they've chosen to lead their time instead of follow it. And when you lead your time, you eventually lead your life. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings, remember, you're not just waking up, you're rising into a version of yourself that is stronger, sharper, and more intentional. Waking up early isn't about the hours, it's about the life you build with them. 5 keynotes of the speech. Waking up early gives you ownership of your time before external demands begin. Early mornings eliminate chaos and allow you to design your day with intention. Quiet morning hours provide clarity, focus, and opportunities for self-reflection. The discipline of rising early shapes identity, reinforcing control and commitment to goals. Leading your mornings translates into leading your entire life. Waking up early gives you ownership of your time before external demands begin. And this idea carries much more depth than most people realize. Time is the only resource that cannot be renewed, borrowed, or expanded. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but the way we structure those hours determines the quality of our lives. When you wake up late, the majority of your time is already being pulled in directions you didn't choose. Emails waiting for responses, phone calls, family responsibilities, unexpected problems. By the time you get a moment to breathe, your energy has already been consumed by other people's priorities. Early mornings, however, are different. They represent untouched hours that belong exclusively to you, free from interruptions and external expectations. That ownership gives you the power to set the tone for everything that follows. The first few hours after waking have a psychological weight. If you use them deliberately, you send a message to yourself that you are in control of your day. You are no longer starting from behind, trying to catch up with the world. Instead, you are ahead, already focused, already centered, already creating. The psychological effect of this cannot be overstated. People who consistently wake up early often describe feeling calmer and more prepared, not because life is easier for them, but because they are beginning their day from a place of strength rather than a place of reaction. This sense of control builds confidence. And that confidence is what fuels greater productivity later in the day. When you wake early, you also have the advantage of working in silence. The world is quieter. Notifications are fewer. The demands of others are still hours away. In that silence, there is clarity. It is during those hours that your thoughts are not competing with constant noise. This gives you a rare chance to think about what really matters, to reflect on your goals, or to dive into deep work without distraction. Studies in psychology have shown that our willpower is strongest in the morning before decision fatigue and stress begin to drain it. That means the early hours are not just peaceful, they are also the most powerful for making meaningful progress on your priorities. There is also a biological advantage to waking up early. The human body follows natural circadian rhythms, and aligning with these rhythms by rising with the sun optimizes energy and focus. People who wake late often feel sluggish, not simply because they slept longer, but because their routine is out of sync with the natural order of light and activity. Waking early brings alignment with the rhythm of the day, which enhances alertness and improves mood. This alignment also creates consistency, and consistency is the foundation of building habits that compound over time. When you repeatedly claim those first hours, they stop feeling like a struggle and start feeling like a reward. Another dimension to consider is the impact of ownership on creativity. Many of history's greatest thinkers, writers, and leaders were early risers, not because they had more talent, but because they understood the value of those undisturbed hours. Creativity thrives in stillness, and the early morning is often the only time when the mind is not bombarded with obligations. Even if someone spends only 30 minutes writing, planning, or creating something in the morning, that half hour compounds into significant progress over weeks and months. The key lies in using those hours intentionally rather than letting them slip away. The concept of ownership also extends beyond productivity. It influences mental well-being. When you give yourself time in the morning to breathe, reflect, exercise, or simply sit in stillness, you create a sense of balance before the pressures of the day arrive. Instead of rushing out the door in a panic or feeling overwhelmed from the moment you wake, you enter the day with calmness and clarity. This mental stability improves the way you respond to stress, conflicts, and challenges because you began your day grounded rather than scattered. In this sense, waking early is not just about managing time, but about managing energy, focus, and emotional resilience. Over time, the cumulative effect of owning your mornings reshapes how you perceive yourself. You no longer see yourself as someone constantly running late or reacting to life's chaos. You begin to see yourself as someone disciplined, intentional, and capable of leading your own life. That identity shift is powerful because we act in alignment with how we see ourselves. Once you view yourself as someone who takes charge of the morning, you naturally carry that same leadership into other areas, your work, your relationships, your goals. Ultimately, waking up early is about more than a habit. It is about reclaiming the most precious resource we have, time, and using it to build a life of intention rather than reaction. Those early hours represent ownership, and ownership is the starting point of every meaningful change we want to make. By choosing to rise before the world demands your attention, you claim not only your time, but also your freedom to direct it toward what matters most. Early mornings eliminate chaos and allow you to design your day with intention, and this truth holds the potential to completely transform how life feels on a daily basis. Chaos in our lives often comes from the fact that most people wake up late, already rushed, already behind, already overwhelmed by what they need to do. They hit the alarm, jump out of bed, and within minutes they are racing against time, skipping breakfast, scanning emails, rushing through traffic, answering calls, and trying to keep up with an endless list of tasks. By the time the day properly begins, they're already drained, not because they worked hard, but because they began in a state of disorder. Contrast that with someone who wakes up early. Instead of chaos, there is calm. Instead of rushing, there is breathing room. Those first hours act as a buffer, allowing them to step into the day with order and clarity rather than confusion and stress. The way you begin your morning has a ripple effect on the rest of the day. If the first moments are chaotic, that sense of rushing tends to follow into every activity, making the entire day feel like a reaction to problems rather than the pursuit of purpose. But when the morning is intentional, the rest of the day inherits that tone. Waking early creates space to think, to prepare, to prioritize, and to decide how you want to show up before the noise of the world makes that decision for you. It is in that space that intentional living begins. Designing your day is not just about writing a to-do list. It is about aligning your actions with your values and long-term goals. Many people find themselves busy but not effective because their days are filled with low-priority tasks that drain energy without moving them closer to what truly matters. Early mornings give you the opportunity to pause and ask, what is important today? What deserves my focus? How can I structure the hours ahead so that I am moving with purpose instead of drifting with distraction? By asking these questions before the world demands your attention, you create direction. You are no longer being pulled in 100 directions. You are guiding yourself toward the things that matter most. The brain plays a role here as well. Cognitive science shows that the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning and decision-making, functions more efficiently in the morning when we are well rested. This makes the early hours the ideal time to make strategic decisions, set intentions, and plan for challenges. When you wake up late and try to do this kind of thinking in the middle of the day, you are already dealing with distractions, interruptions, and fatigue, making it harder to design anything with clarity. Early mornings, on the other hand, offer the clean slate needed to think clearly and make intentional choices. There is also an emotional benefit to eliminating chaos. Stress in the morning has a way of lingering. If you start the day in panic, your body floods with stress hormones like cortisol, which can stay elevated for hours. This makes you less patient, more irritable, and less resilient throughout the day. But when you wake up early, you can ease into the day with calm routines, stretching, meditation, journaling, or even a slow breakfast. These simple actions send signals to the body that you are safe, in control, and prepared. The emotional stability gained in those first hours makes it easier to handle unexpected problems later with composure rather than frustration. Another dimension to intentional mornings is preparation. Many successful people use the early hours to review goals, schedule priorities, or visualize challenges. This preparation is like mental armor. Instead of being caught off guard by sudden demands, they already know what matters most and how they plan to tackle it. The day feels less like a battlefield and more like a journey they are equipped for. That preparedness not only increases productivity, but also reduces anxiety, because uncertainty is replaced by clarity. When the morning is free of chaos, you also unlock the ability to focus deeply on what matters. For some, that might mean exercising and investing in health before the day begins. For others, it may be working on a creative project, writing, or studying. These activities often get pushed aside once the day fills with responsibilities. But in the quiet of the morning, they can be done without interruption. Over time, this consistent investment in meaningful activities creates a compounding effect, where small, steady actions lead to remarkable results. Living with intention is not about perfection, it is about choice. The early morning gives you the freedom to choose how your day begins, and by extension, how your life unfolds. By removing chaos, you gain clarity. By gaining clarity, you create intention. And when intention guides your days, your life stops being a reaction to circumstances and becomes a deliberate creation. The difference between the two is not just productivity. It is the difference between feeling like time owns you and knowing that you own your time. Quiet morning hours provide clarity, focus, and opportunities for self-reflection. And this is one of the most overlooked advantages of waking up early. We live in a world of constant noise, notifications, conversations, responsibilities, and endless information. Our minds are rarely allowed to be still. By the time most people wake up, the world is already demanding their attention, and their thoughts are immediately shaped by outside voices. But the early morning, before the rest of the world has risen, offers something rare: silence. In that silence lies the chance to listen to yourself, to reconnect with what matters, and to think with clarity that is almost impossible to achieve once the day's noise begins. Clarity is the foundation of effective living. Without clarity, we are busy but aimless, always moving but rarely progressing in meaningful directions. The early hours of the day are when the mind is rested, alert, and free of distraction, making it the ideal time to process thoughts and gain perspective. In those moments, it becomes easier to see the bigger picture, to organize priorities, and to ask ourselves essential questions. What do I want to achieve today? What do I need to let go of? How do I want to show up in the world? These are not questions that can be answered in the middle of chaos. They require quiet. The morning provides exactly that. Focus is another gift of the early hours. Research consistently shows that the brain has its highest levels of attention and problem-solving capacity soon after waking, provided the body is well rested. This is why many writers, thinkers, and innovators schedule their most important work during the morning. They know that once distractions start, emails, calls, meetings, social media, their ability to focus deeply diminishes. The early hours are like protected time, a sanctuary for doing work that matters. Even dedicating just 1 hour in the morning to focused effort can produce results that outweigh several hours of distracted work later in the day. This principle alone can change how productive and creative a person becomes. Beyond clarity and focus, the early morning is uniquely suited for self-reflection. Reflection is not a luxury, it is a necessity for growth. Without pausing to examine our choices, habits, and direction, we risk living life on autopilot, repeating the same patterns without realizing where they lead. In the quiet of the morning, there is room for journaling, meditation, prayer, or simply sitting in thought. These practices allow us to connect with ourselves at a deeper level, to recognize our emotions, and to align our actions with our values. When people say they feel lost or stuck, it is often because they have not created space for reflection. Early mornings can become that space, a consistent practice of checking in with ourselves before the world distracts us. Self-reflection in the morning also strengthens emotional intelligence. By identifying how we feel and why, we become better at managing our reactions throughout the day. Instead of being carried away by stress or frustration, we approach challenges with awareness and control. That awareness begins with small moments of silence where we can ask ourselves, how am I feeling today? What energy do I want to carry into my work, my conversations, my decisions? Such questions might seem simple, but over time they cultivate mindfulness and resilience, helping us navigate life with greater calm and purpose. The clarity and focus of early mornings are also amplified by the absence of external pressure. No one is asking for your attention at 5 or 6 a.m. The emails, the calls, the obligations, they come later. In that window of time, you are free to direct your energy toward what truly matters to you, not what others demand from you. That freedom is powerful because it allows you to nurture long-term goals that would otherwise be buried under daily tasks. Whether it's reading, exercising, writing, or planning, these quiet investments accumulate, shaping a future aligned with your vision rather than being dictated by constant urgency. Moreover, the discipline of creating this quiet space in the morning reinforces self-respect. It signals to yourself that your growth, your peace of mind, and your clarity are important enough to prioritize. That decision builds self-trust, and self-trust is the root of confidence. When you consistently carve out time for clarity, focus, and reflection, you start to believe in your ability to lead your own life. That belief transforms how you show up in the world, making you more intentional, composed, and effective. In essence, the quiet morning hours are not empty, they are full. Full of possibilities, full of clarity, full of opportunities to become more aligned with yourself and your goals. The world may see it as just another hour, but to those who claim it, it is a sacred space that sharpens the mind, strengthens the spirit, and sets the foundation for the entire day. Those who embrace it soon realize that the silence of the morning is not the absence of noise, but the presence of direction. The discipline of rising early shapes identity, reinforcing control and commitment to goals, and this is perhaps the most transformative aspect of the habit. Most people think of waking up early as simply a matter of gaining more hours in the day, but the truth goes much deeper. It is not only about time, it is about who you become when you make that choice consistently. Every time you rise before the world expects you to, you are making a statement about the kind of person you are and the values you live by. Discipline is never just about behavior. It is about identity. When you choose to wake up early, especially on days when you don't feel like it, you prove to yourself that you are capable of leading your impulses rather than being led by them. The comfort of staying in bed and sleeping longer is tempting, but discipline requires sacrifice. And each time you honor that discipline, you reinforce the belief that you can make hard choices in service of your bigger vision. Over time, this belief grows stronger until it becomes part of your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who struggles to follow through. You see yourself as someone who follows through because that is simply who you are. This identity shift has a ripple effect on every area of life. People who build the discipline of rising early often find it easier to commit to other goals, exercising regularly, eating better, focusing deeply, or working on long-term projects. The reason is not that those tasks suddenly become easier, but that the self-image of being disciplined carries into other choices. We act in alignment with how we see ourselves. And if you see yourself as disciplined, intentional, and committed, then your actions naturally follow. Waking up early becomes more than a habit. It becomes a cornerstone of self-leadership. There is also a profound sense of control that comes with mastering your mornings. In a world where so much feels uncertain and out of our hands, the ability to take charge of the first hour of the day is empowering. It reminds you that while you cannot control everything, you can control yourself, your routines, and your priorities. That sense of control is not limited to the morning. It carries throughout the day, influencing how you respond to challenges, how you manage your time, and how you pursue your goals. Control over your mornings translates into control over your life's direction. Commitment to goals is strengthened through this practice because waking early is an act of alignment. It says, my ambitions matter enough that I am willing to make sacrifices for them. It demonstrates that your goals are not just wishes, but priorities worth adjusting your lifestyle for. The simple act of rising early creates extra time that can be invested in meaningful work, studying for an exam, building a business, exercising, or reflecting on personal growth. That consistent investment, even if it is small, compounds into tangible progress over months and years. This compounding effect is not possible without commitment, and waking up early is a daily practice of proving that commitment to yourself. There is also an emotional dimension to this discipline. Each time you wake early, you experience a subtle sense of pride. It may not be loud or dramatic, but it builds silently, reminding you that you did what you said you would do. That pride strengthens self-respect, and self-respect is the foundation of confidence. Without confidence, goals remain distant dreams, but with it, they become attainable because you trust yourself to take the steps required. Rising early may seem like a small victory, but those small victories accumulate into a mindset of resilience and achievement. The discipline also rewires your relationship with comfort. Most people live their lives chasing comfort, avoiding difficulty and seeking ease. But growth only happens outside of comfort. Waking up early is uncomfortable, especially at first, but it teaches you to embrace discomfort as a pathway to strength. When you repeatedly choose growth over comfort, you build resilience, and resilience is what allows you to keep moving forward when obstacles arise. This mindset becomes part of who you are. You stop looking for shortcuts and start trusting the power of consistent effort. Over time, waking up early becomes more than an action. It becomes a mirror reflecting your deeper values, discipline, control, commitment, and resilience. It shapes how you see yourself and how others perceive you. People notice those who carry themselves with intentionality, and that perception can open doors, strengthen relationships, and build trust. More importantly, it cements your belief in your ability to design your life rather than drift through it. In the end, the discipline of rising early is not just about the clock. It is about character. It is about proving to yourself that you can lead your impulses, stay committed to your goals, and live in alignment with your highest values. Each morning that you rise early, you are not just starting a new day, you are shaping the person you are becoming. Leading your mornings translates into leading your entire life, because the way we begin our days is often the way we begin everything else. Mornings are not separate from the rest of life. They are the foundation on which the rest of the day is built. When you take control of those first hours, you are not just controlling time. You are training yourself in leadership, self-direction, and intentional living. The way you lead yourself in the morning becomes the blueprint for how you lead yourself in every other area of life. When people wake up late and start their mornings in a rush, they spend the rest of the day reacting. They react to emails, to phone calls, to urgent problems that demand attention. They may accomplish tasks, but those tasks often serve other people's priorities rather than their own. Their lives begin to feel like a series of reactions rather than a deliberate pursuit of purpose. But when you rise early and set the tone for your morning, you are no longer reacting, you are directing. You are deciding what matters, where to place your energy, and how to approach the challenges ahead. That shift from reaction to direction is the essence of leadership. Leading your mornings also teaches you consistency. Leadership in life is not about one bold act. It is about small, repeated actions that build trust and progress. Every time you wake early, you are practicing consistency. You are showing up even when it's difficult. That consistency, carried over weeks and months, becomes a powerful force. It proves to yourself that you can be relied upon, and self-reliability is the foundation of leading others as well. If you cannot lead yourself, you cannot effectively lead anyone else. The morning becomes a daily practice ground for that self-leadership. Another way mornings shape the rest of life is through momentum. The way you start your day often determines the energy and focus you carry forward. If you begin with clarity, calmness, and purpose, that momentum carries into your work, your relationships, and your decisions. You approach challenges with a sense of preparation rather than panic. You communicate more thoughtfully because you are not overwhelmed. You work with greater concentration because your mind is already centered. In this way, the leadership of the morning extends into every conversation, every choice, and every interaction throughout the day. there is also a deeper psychological connection between mornings and life as a whole. When you lead your mornings, you experience a sense of agency, that feeling that you are in control of your actions and direction. Agency is one of the most important factors in human fulfillment. People who feel powerless often describe life as something that happens to them rather than something they create. By contrast, people who cultivate agency feel they are shaping their own journey. Leading your mornings is a simple but profound way of building that agency every single day. You remind yourself that you have the power to choose, and that sense of choice becomes the foundation of a purposeful life. In leading your mornings, you also strengthen vision. Mornings are a time to revisit your goals, your values, and the bigger picture of what you want to achieve. By aligning your actions each morning with your long-term vision, you create harmony between the present and the future. This alignment prevents the feeling of being lost or drifting because you are constantly connecting today's choices to tomorrow's outcomes. That vision-driven approach does not remain confined to the morning. It becomes a mindset that shapes all of life. You stop asking, what do I have to do today? And begin asking, how does what I do today move me toward who I want to become? The discipline of leading mornings also builds resilience. Life is unpredictable, filled with challenges and setbacks, but people who have strong morning routines are better prepared to handle them. They start the day grounded, which gives them the emotional stability to adapt when things don't go as planned. Instead of being thrown off course by every obstacle, they return to their inner center, a center strengthened each morning through intentional habits. That resilience allows them to persist in the face of difficulty and maintain direction when others would be derailed. Perhaps most importantly, leading your mornings creates a standard for your life. The way you treat the first hours is a reflection of the respect you have for yourself and your goals. If you treat those hours casually, you risk treating your entire life casually. But if you treat them with seriousness, discipline, and intention, you begin to live the rest of your life with that same seriousness, discipline, and intention. The standard you set in the morning becomes the standard you carry everywhere. In this way, mornings are not just about productivity. They are about identity, leadership, and purpose. To lead your morning is to declare that you are the author of your time, not a passive participant in it. And when you take ownership of that truth every day, it doesn't stay in the morning, it shapes your entire life. At the heart of it all, waking up early is not simply about the clock. It is about character, clarity, and control. It is about reclaiming the hours that the world has not yet touched and choosing to fill them with intention. The quiet of the morning gives you ownership of your time. It removes chaos, it sharpens your focus, it builds your discipline, and ultimately, it transforms the way you live. When you choose to rise before the demands of the world, you are making more than a scheduling decision. You are making a statement about who you are and who you are becoming. You are choosing leadership over reaction, driver drift, and purpose over passivity. Those early hours are not wasted sleep. They are the foundation of growth, the training ground for resilience, and the clearest mirror of your commitment to your goals. And so the life-changing benefits of waking up early are not found in having more hours, but in what those hours represent. They represent discipline, identity, vision, and the freedom to live with intention. If you can lead your mornings, you can lead your life. And if you can lead your life, you can shape your future into something extraordinary.